Welcome to Nashville Mountain Bike Podcast, powered by SORBA MidTN, where we talk about advocacy, trails, and anything and everything mountain bike. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to the show. All right. Shawn, what's up?
Morning.
Morning, sir. So I'm super excited. This is our first attempt at a podcast here. We got several exciting episodes coming up that we've been talking about. Today's going to be the first one, and we're here with representing SORBA MidTN, which is the organization that represents the mountain biking community in Nashville. So super stoked to be here. I'm Matt Carver. I'm the president of SORBA, and with me I've got Shawn Hill, our VP, our Mr. Vice President. So Shawn, say hi, man.
Morning, Vice President and Trail Boss.
Trail Boss. That's right.
As Matt likes to call it.
Yeah,
big focus on the daily maintenance of trails.
Yeah, right on. So we'll get to the Trail Boss stuff here in a little bit. I'm excited to talk about that. I think it's one of the cool things that SORBA is able to do. So big shout out to Spread the Positive Productions for hooking us up here and allowing us to come in and do this. And of course, our donors who financially support us and allow us to do cool things like this. So this is all about getting the word out to our members and our community and our donors and our everybody else and our volunteers in the mountain bike community. So, Shawn, you been riding your bike any lately, man?
A few miles here and there.
Been pretty crappy lately, hasn't it?
It's a little bit. I ride my bike with a shovel, a hatchet, or a chainsaw more than without these days.
Awesome. I was just telling Trent about the freeze thaw cycle we've been having, and it has not been wonderful conditions for riding bikes lately at all. And I was fortunate enough to get out last night. We've had a couple of days here strung together, the sun and no rain, and got out last night and did a lap at Jones Mill, and it was looking pretty good. So yeah,
I'm pretty excited.
I saw all the work that you've done up there, especially on that first turn. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah, trying to maintain the momentum there.
Yeah.
And reduce the erosion, maintain the momentum, and increase the fun.
Yeah, right on. And just for the listeners out there, Shawn has historically been the trail boss out at Jones Mill, and the place is pretty rock solid when it comes to moisture and rain and whatnot. You can go up there and ride pretty much any time. So we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a bit. But I want to start off by just some latest news here with SORBA and what's been going on, and then we'll jump into what we're going to talk about today. SORBA, we've been growing and expanding here lately. Shawn, yourself, and I, we took it over back in August last year, I believe. And we've made some decisive moves amongst our leadership that I'm pretty stoked about. Not only us just coming into our roles as president and vice president, but we've been able to, bring on very specific roles. And the way we structured it has been very intentful, right? So we have brought on a specific operations officer, and that's Amanda Barrett, and she's been doing a great job taking care of kind of the back end stuff. We have brought on a new treasurer specific to our financials, and that's Tim Ogle. I believe he lives in the Fairview Brentwood area out there, and he does a lot of trail riding in Cane Ridge and Smith Park. Most recently, we've brought on Peter Leininger, our media person, who's been doing some great things, and he's going to be managing our socials and whatnot. And Taylor Blackstone has been brought on as a membership officer, and that person is specifically tasked with looking at our organization through the eyes of membership and what we're supposed to be doing from them, and making sure that we've got our priorities in line with how we spend our dollars, how we communicate to our membership and our volunteers, etc. Who else am I missing?
Brian.
Well, of course, we've got our board of directors. We've got Brian has been a long-time supporter of SORBA, and he's been a great advisor and takes care of a lot of IT stuff. We've got Brian Berger still on, who comes to us with a lens from industry and retail, and then Jason Barrett, who, of course, is former leadership with SORBA, who's able to kind of guide us along the way. So Charlie's our newest one, just last week. So like I said, sorry, Charlie, if you're listening to this. we felt it pretty imperative to have a person on our leadership team that was focused on advocacy and advocacy only. And Charlie Weingartner has been brought on to do that. And if you know Charlie and his work with Middle Tennessee Cycling, he knows anything and everything that has to do with cycling that's going on in the city of Nashville. So, he doesn't necessarily come from a mountain bike only perspective, although he does mountain bike and he has in the past. He's going to be a huge advocate for us, and I'm super excited to have Charlie on. So, all of those people put together form what you know is our SORBA leadership here in Nashville. I said something interesting for the listeners out there, and you might know this or might not, but we are 100% volunteer based. So we all have full-time jobs. I know, Shawn, you took off work this morning to be here with us. I'm playing hooky this morning. I'll make up for it this afternoon this Friday afternoon for sure. But every minute that we spend thinking and dreaming about SORBA and what it can be is a volunteer minute. And we're pretty prideful about that and what we've been able to do without having to have paid positions here in Nashville. So. Another interesting thing that's coming up with our chapter here in MidTN is going to be the membership app. So we're going digital. Hey, 10 years later after apps come out, right? We're finally getting on the board. We've got a new app coming out for our members April 1st on April Fool's Day. It's an app developed by HivePass, and it's going to be your new portal to anything and everything SORBA. So you'll be able to have an electronic membership card. You'll have all of your member benefits listed there. You'll have access to all of our trails. And we're going to try our best to put trail conditions on that app as well. It's just a full suite of anything and everything SORBA at your fingertips. So look out for that coming April 1st. I've already mentioned advocacy, but there's a lot going on with Percy Warner Parks right now, and the Cheekwood interactions with Cheekwood essentially trying to get a driveway through Percy Warner Park to their facilities, and we've been advocating against that, more so from a perspective of public land access and the fact that we believe, Percy Warner Park is public land, and private entities should not have rights or access to develop on those lands for the purpose of commercial improvements. So we can talk about that a little bit more. And again, talking about spring thaw. Spring's right around the corner, and the stuff is going to start picking up here within the mountain bike community. So I know we're all super stoked about the sun coming out and the temperatures rising and the trails being open for everybody. So Shawn, what did we do in the fall? We put out a survey, didn't we?
Yeah,
we did, and that was the first survey that we've put out in a long time. And the intent of that survey was try to get a feel for what our community thought about SORBA, try to generate some ideas and interest in that. And one of the interesting things, although we didn't come out and directly ask the question, a lot of the comments were relating to what SORBA actually does. And that's what I want to focus on today on this podcast. Who is SORBA? What do we do? What's our purpose here in Middle Tennessee? So that's what we're going to talk about, and that's how I'm going to frame our discussion today. So let me start by talking about SORBA in general. SORBA stands for the Southern Off-Road Bicycle Association. And the original SORBA was a club under the IMBA umbrella, and we still are, by the way. We're managed as a specific entity under IMBA. Under IMBA, there are several other entities outside of the Southeast in which SORBA resides. The SORBA itself has 47 different unique chapters, and we're geographically separated, of course, over 7 states here in the Southeast. There are over 10,000 active members within SORBA right now, which is pretty awesome. And knowing those numbers and knowing how big SORBA is, we've made an attempt to kind of separate ourselves from the IMBA umbrella, and we will be stepping off on our own. So I've already talked about the membership application. We're stepping out from that IMBA platform, and we'll be our own entity, essentially managing ourselves. SORBA has only 2 paid staff people that manage our entire organization. At the main SORBA level, and that main person is going to be Philip Darden. He's our executive director, and he actually sits in Knoxville, was active with AMBC for a long time. And then we have a membership coordinator, Madison Taylor Lane, who's been driving this HivePass initiative for a few months now. And between those two, they manage everything that we're doing as a chapter, all 47 different chapters. And of course, MidTN is just one of those chapters. MidTN started here 20 years ago. Can you believe that, Shawn?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty cool. And before MidTN was a chapter here in Tennessee, you had the Lock 4 Trailblazers, and you had the former Mountain Trail Mountain Bike Club. And it was decided that those two would kind of join all of their resources back in 2005 to form the first chapter of SORBA here in the middle Tennessee area, and that's what you affectionately referred to today as our chapter. So this is our 20th year of operation, and I think that's pretty cool. As far as our governance and how we're set up, each individual chapter has their own board of directors, and we're governed by our set of bylaws that we vote and we work by. And I've already mentioned our board of directors earlier and went through those people, and we have the rights within our bylaws to assign our leadership groups, and we'll be working on our bylaws over the next couple of years to make it more appropriate for how we should operate. I don't think they've been updated in quite some time. But I've already introduced all the members of our current structure, and how Shawn and I have been intentful in setting up that structure with specific roles of individuals. And Shawn, what did we tell each other when we first started SORBA that we weren't going to do? Do you remember?
We can't do it all.
That's
I think
right.
that was the general theme. I think it was hey, you'll do this if he does that, and he'll do that if you do that, and if not, then we can't do it.
Yeah.
We got to have other people. It's a team effort.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, going back to what Shawn and I, had a handshake agreement before we came on as leadership, saying we've got to get the right people in the right places to take specific tasks to do things. And I think we've been really good at it. We've set up our leadership, again, with those specific roles in mind to take on specific things. And I'm pretty proud of how we've been able to do that. So I want to go back to the mission statement of SORBA. I think you'll find it unique. This is the overarching mission statement of SORBA, and it simply says that we believe that everyone has access to the social, physical, and mental benefits that mountain biking provides, period. Pretty short and sweet. It encompasses, you can fit anything and everything that we do within that mission statement, I believe. But again, it goes back to for me anyways, it's about getting people involved in mountain biking. It's about the advocacy of allowing access to mountain biking. And it's really about finding the joys of what mountain biking can provide you, whether you focus on, your benefits as being more social. Some find it more, reason around the physical part of it. And a lot of people find the mental benefits of it super, super awesome. And I find, the benefits of mountain biking in all three of those equally. I think anybody that mountain bikes understands that there's a social aspect of it, of course, and then physical. It's not going to hurt you. It's going to feel really good after you get done. It might suck while you're doing it, but get that heart rate up and whatnot. And then the mental benefits of it. I often tell people the joys. The biggest joys I've had on a mountain bike are when I'm alone. Things are just flowing. You're in the mountains by yourself, you're in the forest or whatever, and you've got that perfectly lit up ribbon of single track in front of you, and it's just kind of an experience that can't be well defined through words. And I'm sure you've had those experiences as well, Shawn. So what do we really do, right? What are the meat and potatoes of what SORBA does? Advocacy is a huge thing, and that's been coming more to the forefront here with the Percy Warner stuff. But we advocate for trail access. If there are issues in the community about, the removal of or difficulties in having access, we're there. We're in tune to what those issues are, and we'll, more than happy to stand up for our specific needs in the community. Trail building and maintenance is a huge part of what we do, and I think we do a fantastic job at it. And we'll talk a little bit about the details of the Trail Boss program with Shawn here in a moment. Volunteer management is huge. I've already mentioned that our organization is built on volunteers. Specific to volunteers, we started tracking volunteer hours when we first started, and I took the numbers just last night, but we've logged, and these are just the people that want to volunteer their hours. There's a lot of people out there that don't do it. that don't want to track their hours, who aren't concerned about it. But since August in the wintertime, we've logged over 1,000 volunteer hours, which is incredible on the trails that we maintain here in Nashville. Of course, there's a fundraising aspect to what we do. This is the first year SORBA MidTN has ever put together a formal fundraising prospectus, and we did that together. And it's a plan of things that we need money for, things that we want to spend money on over the next upcoming year. And in tune with that, we actually have a plan for FY25, which is cool, right? We know that we need to do these certain things and spend money on certain things, and that's kind of what's driving us over the next year. So I want to talk about the Trail Boss Network, Shawn, and I call Shawn the Trail Boss because within our network we have what are called Trail Bosses. So I want you to talk about the program, how we're set up, and some of the cool things we've got going on with that.
All right. So a couple years back, we had one Trail Boss, Austin, and doing an amazing job. And there was just a lot of work. And I think we maybe had, 4 or 5 or 6 trail systems. And over time, it's just grown and grown and grown. And we come to realize that one person can't cut down every tree, can't fix every bridge, can't, work on every mud pit. So we created the Trail Boss Network and asked for volunteers, and got a group of people that are local to their trail, and they're able to basically keep an eye on it. And they don't only do all the repairs. It's not like our Trail Boss has to do all the work, but they're kind of the go-to person that keeps track of the trail conditions and helps organize work days, and often rides the trail frequently, and knows others that do. One thing I think a lot of people see is the trail status page, trails.sorbamidtn.org. I think we get thousands of hits on that page every month, and it's our trail bosses. It's like one of the main things they do. So like through the winter, when the trails are in horrible condition and you can't even do anything, that's one thing they do. They update the status and say, hey, the trail, yes, it's still closed because it's not in great condition. But we have a trail boss assigned for each trail. We do still have some openings, specifically Hamilton Creek. We have had some people step up and are starting to help out with Hamilton Creek and keep it cleared. So if you like Hammy, reach out. Definitely looking to shore up the maintenance there. But if you want to help out and you're like, okay, I don't want to be the boss, that's quite fine. You don't have to use the term. If you just want to help out, take care of trails, you can reach out to me, and I can help out, get you plugged in. Or honestly, a lot of times you can just do the work. If you're riding along and you see a stick that could grab your derailleur, well, kick it out of the way. It's not too hard. You're totally welcome to do stuff like that. Now, I would not go into raking leaves off the trail. That's a whole nother podcast.
It's controversial, Shawn. Do we rake leaves or do we not rake leaves?
That's in general, no, we don't. No, that's a whole nother podcast series on do we rake leaves. But no, like just over, we had a bad storm, a week and a half ago where Nashville got, I think over 6 inches of rain in a matter of 2 or 3 days. And I've been getting the notifications. Trails are opening up left and right. Jones opened up a couple days ago. Hamilton Creek is all open. Cane Ridge opened up yesterday, like a week after 6 inches of rain. Lock 4 is open. I think Percy, I think pretty much everything's open now, even just 1 week after rain in the winter. And that's because of the Trail Boss Network and our volunteers. If you see a puddle figure out where the water's coming from, redirect it, clear the drain. It keeps the water off trail, and it gets us back to riding sooner.
Yeah, I want to talk about that, Shawn. I was speaking 2 weeks ago at the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Council in Nashville, and I often gloat on our volunteer Trail Boss Network. And I think one of the coolest things is the way we communicate with each other is incredible. Like if there's a tree down at Cedar Hill, our people know about it because one, they scrub Facebook for trail condition reports. A lot of people post on socials if there's stuff going on, and all of that stuff gets posted in our Slack network. So we use Slack as our communication tool, and we know about anything and everything. Every stick that's down, you guys know about it. It's weird. And your volunteers are so cool that they go out there same day, within hours or within days, and it's taken care of. It's just super cool. And I think, I think a lot of people see that and they appreciate that work, but I just thank you and your team for being able to do that kind of stuff. I think it's awesome. And, Jones Mill this week with the storm, there was half a dozen trees that came down across the trails, and I went out there last night, and all but one, which was a massive tree, has been taken care of. And I'm like, God, you guys got out here quick. And like you said, it takes a lot of work to pack the tools, bike the tools out there, hike a chainsaw in, whatever. It's just pretty awesome how you guys do it. So
I think the biggest kudos right now is Cane Ridge.
Yeah.
Jones usually doesn't do too bad. We might have 2 or 3 trees in a storm, and with Cane Ridge, man, love it. If the sun rises, there's 2 or 3 trees that fell down, and if a storm comes through, it's a lot more. I didn't calculate the hours, but over the past week, I've seen groups of 1, 2, 3, 5 guys out at a time, clearing trees from over 50 locations on a trail.
Awesome.
That trail's maybe 8 miles long, and we didn't count trees. We couldn't count trees because in one location you'd have 5 trees laying on the trail. So we just pinpointed spots on the trail. Mm-hmm. So if you look at even 2 or 3 trees, that's well over 100 trees came down in the last storm, and as of yesterday, just 1 week later, the volunteers, they just go out and do it.
Yeah, it's
and
awesome.
We're grateful for that.
Yeah, I don't know what goes on with Cane, man. That place is like a toothpicks, dead, dry toothpicks when the wind blows. And like you said, when the sun comes up, there's trees falling. So wear your helmet. Wear your helmet, everybody. Cool. And Shawn, talk a little bit about our equipment. We've got a trailer full of equipment that we tote around sometimes, and we've got every tool imaginable, aside from dingoes and
skid steers.
We rent that stuff, of course, and we have funds to do that. But I feel like we're good on resources. We've got the resources to get out there and manage the trails that we have. And this year we're specifically fundraising for a new trailer so we can set up a north trailer and a south trailer, because it is a lot. Our trails are spread out geographically, so it's hard to get from north to south effectively. So we're trying to have at least 2 different units that we can dispatch when needed. So we're working on that. So yeah, thanks, Shawn, for leading the Trail Boss Network. You guys are awesome, and I appreciate all the work there. I want to jump to money real quick. How does SORBA function in regards to money? Well, we rely on memberships to keep our doors operating, essentially, to pay the bills, and we pay the bills simply through the membership dollars that you guys pay. And to become a member of SORBA, it's super inexpensive. $39 a year gets you a membership to SORBA. And what those dollars mean are that they go directly to us. A portion goes to main SORBA to help with programming, and then a portion goes to IMBA for the membership platform that we currently use. But some of that money stays here locally, and we get to use it for keeping our lights on, keeping fuel in our machines and our chainsaws. It allows us to pay our QuickBook fees, our CPA fees. It allows us to just maintain our operations, and that's what those membership dollars come for. You can donate money outside of the membership fees, and 100% of those donations stay here locally. So we always recommend, if you're an individual that likes to do that, go ahead and purchase your minimum SORBA membership, and if you want to donate dollars outside of that, just cut a check directly or make a donation on our page. And again, those dollars stay 100% local here, and we're able to use them for programming and, again, keeping the lights on kind of stuff. And people often think that we're floating in money, and that's certainly not the case. I think over the course of a year, we're able to just do what we're able to do. But when you see big expenditures come out of SORBA for large trail systems and whatnot, those dollars come from our donors. SORBA is simply a pass-through organization where we earmark those funds to go for specific uses. So we have a suite of or several members out there in our organization that are very generous with their money, and they pass through SORBA, and we direct the use of funds to those trail systems specifically. So we really don't keep any of those dollars unearmarked, if you will, at least up until this point, first off. So we spent a lot of money up in the Cedar Hill Park area getting that place up and running. We still spend a little bit of money there to maintain the jump trails in those systems. And I'm trying to think of when else we've spent a lot of money, but that have come from donors specifically. We also
Percy Warner.
Yeah.
We had a refresh on the trails out there about 2 years ago.
Yeah, but there's a various places that money comes from to help us do what we need to do. So, and I want to talk about that a little bit, Shawn, to help people get an understanding of who we work with to do this kind of stuff. So you might not know, but it's not an easy thing to go set up a new trail or to maintain a trail system. There are specific relationships that have to be in place to allow that to happen. So we actually have formal agreements, MOUs or contracts with municipalities and cities and
landowners,
land managers, that we have to have in place in order to do this work. So when I say those things, I'm talking about the state of Tennessee we have agreements with, the state parks we have agreements with, Metro Nashville we have agreements with, Parks and Recreation Nashville, the Department of Education in Nashville, Pencil Organization in Nashville, which we've been working with recently, State Department of Forestry we have relationships with, private retail and individuals.
Williamson County
is
Murfreesboro.
a big one. City of Murfreesboro we have agreements with, and all of that stuff has to be managed, and it's a legal process, and it describes what we're going to do as an organization, what the landowner is going to do, what the land manager is going to do, and it describes liability and who's going to take on liability in certain situations. So we spend a lot of time making sure that those agreements are in place and that they're managed effectively so we can go out there and do what we need to do. I'll give an example of one that we're working right now that's been taking a lot of time, is Hope Park. So, some of our listeners might remember Hope Park was a park out on the west side of Nashville, and the Nashville State Nashville City Education came in and bought that property and built James Lawson High School on it. Well, they didn't necessarily build it on the actual trail. The trail still existed, but we've been trying to get an agreement with Metro Schools for some time to allow us to have access back on there. And doing that has been it's a lot of bureaucracy and finding the right person to talk to. And we eventually went through the Pencil Foundation to make that happen. And to become a part of the Pencil Foundation, we went through background checks and had to sign off all this different stuff to get us in there to even have these conversations. So it's something that we continue to work through to eventually get Hope Park opened back up. And we've actually had a couple of work days out there this past year, kind of trimming up the trails and making them ready to go when that time happens. So super excited about that. So anything else I'm missing about land management or ownership or that kind of stuff?
I don't know. Just I guess want to reiterate the concept of where we're allowed to ride. Some people think you can just, if your friend owns land and your friend says, "Hey, Joe, go ahead. You can ride your bike there. I don't care. That's fine." That's you and your friend making an agreement. But if you just say, "Oh, hey, here's some land and I want to make a bike trail on it," Well, it's not something that's agreed upon. Sometimes it goes okay. It's usually not kosher if you're basically poaching on someone's land. That's where we come in and that's where the agreement comes in because some of the landowner were like, oh, what if you get hurt? I don't want to get sued. I don't want to let you use my land if you're going to sue me if you get hurt. And that's where the MOU, it's the memorandum of understanding. It's an agreement that says, hey, you can use the land. You're not going to take legal action on us. You're going to help to maintain it. We allow you to do rides, activities, races, or whatever. But it's two parties saying we agree to this, and that's kind of where it starts. We do have some other locations, some other landowners, people in our community working directly with their peers and landowners around them that are saying, hey, you know what, we might be able to put a bike trail here. And we do have.
We get a lot of that stuff. We get a lot of requests.
And we have stuff in the works right now. We're looking at, some additional trails coming to the Middle Tennessee area, even this year.
Yeah. But I like going back to what I was saying, that Shawn and I get a lot of requests for, hey, I got this, 2-acre land, a trail, or I've got this 10 acres, or out here past Dixon County, I've got 60 acres we want to put. I mean, we get this stuff all the time. And know,
people that are, 80 miles away from us saying, hey, I want to put a bike trail here. What do I start with? Yeah. And, even at a minimum, just we're like, okay, well, that's not really our user base, but, that's where we kind of, just take the time to say, okay, well, look at this, talk to this, circle back, and, just at least help guide them.
I wish we could do them all. I really do. I mean, we get so many, and I think there's a lot of great ideas that people have out there. And let's put a pump track on this section of acreage that we've got, or let's do this here.
Got an acre and a half between two buildings. Let's build a pump track. It can be done.
Yeah, like I said, I wish we could do it all, and we had the resources to make it happen. At a minimum, we can offer advice or what we think, and sometimes we have to turn that stuff down just because we do want to make sure that it's a project that is mindful of our resources, that if we put resources to it, that it's going to be oriented in a long-term fashion, that it'll be there for a long time, that it, does it have access to the majority of mountain bikers in the area? That's what we represent. And, we need to ensure that. We need to ensure consistent access. We need to ensure liability can be worked out in a fair and effective way. And we need to make sure that it's within our service area to where we can maintain that trail, right? So there's a lot of different considerations that we look at when deciding on what we can and can't do. Resources, again, is on our part. We're 100% volunteer based, and sometimes it's just the fact that we don't have the resources to do that right now, or it doesn't reach the level of priority amongst the other important things that we've got going on. So when you're thinking about a new trail, we're happy to see the proposals and happy to see them come through, but just know that there's a lot to consider when talking about this stuff. So yeah, that's a lot about SORBA and what we do. I know, we're trying to keep this conversation short and sweet about it, and I feel like we've talked about what SORBA is, what we do, some of the main things. We didn't necessarily dive into the full advocacy part, and maybe we can have a whole session on that with Charlie coming in, and we can talk about the issues of Percy Warner and how we're positioning ourselves there, and how we're integrating with other nonprofits and other user groups to kind of battle against the commercial interest that Sheikwood is trying to push. We've talked about the overarching structure of SORBA, how that operates, where MidTN came from. You did a great job talking about the Trail Boss Network. Talked a little bit about budget and finance. And Tim Ogle's leading that portion of our organization right now, interacting with our CPAs, making sure our taxes are filed, just like any other organization has to do. Let's talk a little bit about how we communicate. This is a big one, and I think we kind of skirted by that. So with the April 1st, we'll have our app go live. We'll be able to communicate that way. Our main routes right now of communication are through social and email. And I know there's a love-hate relationship with social, and I can go on and on about, things that happen or kind of our thoughts about how we do that. And then, when it becomes important for us to talk about other stuff, we typically send email communications out when it gets important or we're doing some type of fundraising. But let's talk about social for a minute. You love social media, don't you, Shawn?
Yeah.
Love, hate, right?
Well, actually, yeah. So, circle around my personal background. Coming out of high school, I wanted to be a music producer,
Yeah.
and so that's what I went to school for. Things changed in the program, and ended up getting a degree in advertising, public relations, and media management.
Yeah.
So my degree is ad PR management. But what do I do for a living? I program robots in a factory automation environment.
Yeah.
So I have years of schooling in the ad PR management, and I'm a social guy. I'm not afraid of talking. I love engaging with people and encouraging people in the hobbies that I love. When you love something, you're like, oh, I love this. This is awesome. You should do it too. And I understand the power of using social media. And it's just great that we have that ability to use the social media to communicate. It's not necessarily an ask as much as it is, I think, sharing opportunities and sharing the accolades of the work that's been done.
Well, I think what you're saying is, and when I tell people in our leadership group about posting on social media, we spread joy, right? The good, positive things, and that's what we're all about. We spread the positive news. We post a lot about trail openings and closures. We have to do that kind of stuff. We post a little bit about advocacy on our Facebook page specifically, but my direction to people is that we post joy. We don't get caught up in the negative comments or the negative stuff. We see it, and it's noise to us. I think I was talking to you last week, Shawn. Most of that stuff, if you read it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think a lot of those comments the negative stuff that we get is, one, it's out of touch, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense in the context in which we operate today. I think, whoever harbors negative feelings against SORBA, I don't think they fully understand what's going on, and that's what we're trying to communicate here with this specific podcast, or about all the positive stuff that we do in the community and whatnot. So my direction to the team has simply been to post joy. Don't get caught up in the negativity that you see out there and whatnot, and we'll continue operating that way. I think it's the most effective way to do it. So you'll see us post. Where do we post mainly? We post mainly on our SORBA Facebook page, but there are other Instagram as well. There are other user groups out there. There are groups on Facebook that you'll see us pop in occasionally, but those are not going to be our main communication channels for disseminating information. It's going to be the SORBA accounts on both Facebook.
Yeah, Instagram. It's great because we're able to post to Instagram and to Facebook at the same time.
Right.
So, they'll both have a graphic and then, some words below as necessary. We know that a lot of people might see that image for, 0.75 seconds, but, hopefully if they see it's from us and it's of interest to them, then they'll read it and then, either be engaged or tell their friend, hey, thanks for that work you did. Or it is cool even, when we post stuff and seeing the likes and then the comments from one writer to another, because we might post about work being done at a trail, and then the person who did that work, they can see the comments.
Yeah.
And it's encouraging because it's really interesting. Some of the Trail Boss people, they say, I don't understand why other people don't like doing this. It's a rare breed to find somebody that is just as happy rebuilding a berm as they are writing it. Mm-hmm. They would rather spend 4 hours building a berm than even 20 minutes writing that berm. And it's a unique people, and a lot of times they're motivated by a simple thanks, man. Yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah. dollar bills on the windshield of their vehicle when you leave. I don't know, that wouldn't hurt, but no, I'm just saying. But no, so social, it's also an avenue to help encourage the people that are doing the work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, to your point, think about it. It's free to mountain bike on our trails. And I can tell you that in the Southeast, that's not the case in all the areas, believe it or not. So all of that stuff is done through volunteers. And to your point, it's specifically unique to find those individuals that have a passion for doing it. And I thank those guys so much. And it is rewarding to go out there and spend a few hours doing something not for yourself, but for other people. And if there's listeners out there that have never done it, get out there and try it. Come to a work day. You don't even have to go to a work day. Make your own work day. Go out there and do something positive for your trail.
Kick a stick. That's what I always say. If you're riding along, unclip, kick a stick.
Yeah, tap into that altruistic part of your brain, and I promise you, it'll make you feel good about what you're doing, and that's why we're here doing what we do. We every volunteer and leadership position in SORBA right now is here because we enjoy mountain biking, we enjoy the community, we enjoy giving back, and everybody's here for the right reasons, and that's what makes it special. So. Let me talk a little bit about the podcast series. So we are going to continue this. This, of course, is the first episode. We thought it would be important to bring you guys a little update on how SORBA operates, what we are, who we are, what we do in the community. The next episodes that we've talked about and we've batted around, we're going to do specific trail series and bring in some of the trail builders that have been involved with the process. And we'll talk in detail about how things came to be in certain areas of Nashville trails. And we thought that would be valuable information to get out. And I'm super stoked about having those conversations. We're going to talk to some OGs in the Nashville community that have been around for a long time. We're going to bring them on and have them as guests. And then we're also going to talk about other programming stuff as we move along. So we're going to try our best to get episodes out pretty routinely over the course of the year. We'll look forward to the next conversation, Shawn. So any parting words?
I'm excited to start hearing and sharing the trail stories. Yeah. How the trails were built, how this came about, how we got access to this land, how that rock got there.
Yeah. There's one specific rock we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Scroll the Instagram and you'll see the rock we're talking about. It's the size of a flatbed truck. But it's just cool to learn how everything came to be the way it is.
Yeah.
It's encouraging. I think it makes you appreciate it more when you know that it didn't just show up. It was the work that was involved.
Good deal. Well, thanks for being with me today, Shawn. I appreciate it. For the listeners out there that want to learn more about SORBA, please visit www.sorbamidtn.org. We have a pretty cool website. You can access all of our trail updates, who we are, a little bit about the leadership that currently manages this. We try to keep it updated with events and trail work days and anything new that's exciting and going on. Also go to Facebook and Instagram. Look us up, SORBA MidTN. You can find us there. Click and follow. We would appreciate it. And until next time, I'm Matt.
I'm Shawn.
Shawn, thanks again, man. Talk soon. Thanks for listening to the Nashville Mountain Bike Podcast, powered by SORBA MidTN. To learn more, visit sorbamidtn.org and follow us on the socials for the most up-to-date information. As always, like, follow, share, and give us a 5-star review if you enjoyed listening today. Thanks for being a part. See you on the trails.